our solutions, our voices. UntitledRadio.com. You got it. Easy Lock's answer to your aggravation. The Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is numero, the number. That's how you get in touch with them if you want to join the show. I hope you will. A lot of stuff to talk about today, of course. Robert Webb is somewhere in the house. We'll get to him here in just a moment. Still celebrating my birthday, or my birthday. My daughter's birthday from yesterday. Had a good conversation with her and very proud of her. She had some surgery and she's recovering as well. So good for her. And by the way, thank you all of you guys who have responded to the post that I put up, the picture of my daughter. I know y'all look at my daughter and y'all like, how you got a daughter that pretty? Yeah, she mine. Yeah, that's my DNA. Don't hate. Yeah, because she is drop dead gorgeous. And yeah, you should fear the dad. As they say, fear the D. Fear the D, meaning dad. Okay? So she's one of those sisters who decided to get her career in order before she decided to jump out there and do all that crazy stuff that some of y'all do. You know what I'm saying? Not that I don't want grandbabies, but I want them in a good environment and a good, and brought up in a good home and a stable home, to say the least. How about that? 855-525-5683 is the number if you want to join the show. Of course, we are doing more stuff with the show and hoping that it will prompt you to go ahead and call us and get your input in, because that's very important to have your input. But as you all know, we're going to roll on with the show one way or the other. That's just how we do things around here. But we would love to have your input going forward. We've got Black Facts coming up here in just a moment, so you all stick and stay for that. I think you'll enjoy the Black Fact that I have today. Yesterday, the Black Fact was on Fort Sumter and the beginning of the Civil War. Ugh, that is just so nasty looking. Okay. I got to repost that because I'm going to talk about that. All right. I'm just going through my wall here and looking at a couple of things while we get started, before we get started. Of course, by the way, if you want to donate to the Memorial Fund for Richard Richardson Donut, you know, our dear friend who passed away over the last, about 4 or 5 days ago now, there is a fund out there. So make sure you go out there and do that as well. What I'm doing right now on my wall, there were some great quotes that were out there, and I'm going out there and basically, ooh, that might be a good one. Let's see here. Okay, so all right, so let's go ahead and do Black Facts. It's going to be a two-parter. The first one is going to be about the first Black Canadian, all right, and then the second one will be about a 2-minute video from Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Okay? The Word God. That's what I call him, the Word God. So let's go ahead and jump into Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, you know, as I like to say, I love doing Black Facts because I love educating everybody, not just black people, on what black people did for this world. And there's a concerted effort to claim that black people didn't do anything, and of course we're lazy and all this other mess. We know that's a lie. So part of the reason that we do Black Facts is because of this. All right. So, you know, I've talked a lot about hockey originating in Canada, and that many escaped slaves and early black settlers actually played hockey. And it's almost scary to some white people that black people are playing hockey. And then, of course, George and Darrell Falsty wrote the book Black Ice, and has tons and tons of evidence about black people playing hockey as early as 1825. So this Black Fact today simply, it's not about hockey, but it tells you something about indigenous people. The first black man to arrive in Canada was not a slave. Although much of early North American history involves black men and women who were brought to America, to the Americas as slaves, the first black man in Canada was a free man named Matthew DaCosta, a talented translator who was fluent in 6 languages. DaCosta made a career by serving as a translator for Europeans on exploratory and trading expeditions in North American territories. Although being fluent in several European languages was important for DaCosta's success, where he proved most capable was in enabling trade in the Americas due to his ability to serve as an intermediary with native residents. Unfortunately, being so talented came at a cost for DaCosta. He was abducted by the Dutch, who wished to make use of his services. In 1608, he signed a contract with the Dutch, which bound him to assist Pierre du Gaulle on a trip across the Atlantic. The travels took DaCosta to Arcadia, a French colonized region which comprised parts of both modern-day Canada and modern-day Maine. So wait a minute. Something just hit me. By making this trip, DaCosta broke ground as the first recorded black man to come to what we know now as Canada and earned his spot in historical records. So let's hang on for a minute with this, and we're going to do the other Black Fact here in just a moment. So if he came in 1608 and he visited parts of Maine and Canada, could this man, Matthew DaCosta, be the first black man from another continent to visit North America? That's interesting. Although you all realize that many of the Native Americans that were here are really African descendants. So he was not the first black man on the continent, because there were black people already here. Hello, I know this is new to y'all, but the question is, because we know the first slave came, many say in 1619, but I've seen research, the first slave came as early as 1615. Could it be that DaCosta, Matthew DaCosta, was the first free black man to visit the Americas? That's something to think about. One other Black Fact. I say this all the time. I'll just let Michael Eric Dyson say it again. Check this out.
Points espoused by similar people, let me tell you this. That kind of lethal ignorance, that kind of viewpoint that disparages black people, number one. That condescends and talks down to us, number two. That draws specious, spurious parallels between white racism and black racism. Racism presupposes the ability to control a significant segment of the population economically, politically, and socially by imposing law, covenant, and restriction on their lives. Black people ain't had no capacity to do that. Can we be bigoted? Yes. Can we be prejudiced? Yes. Racist? No. The unintelligence of the formulation is problematic when any black person says that. Number three, when black people began to spew this notion that 96% of black people are racist because we vote for a black candidate, suggests that all white people who vote for all white candidates are therefore also unavoidably racist. By that logic, everybody in the world is racist and it balances out, doesn't it? It makes no sense. It is illogical and irrational to its core. What we see when we hear these kinds of comments are lethal self-hatred, the denial of the humanity to black people that we see reflected in the dominant white society, refracted through the prism of our own black lives. Unmolested by enlightenment, such people are peripatetic, that is, walking around virtuous, not in terms of their virtue, but virtuous, virtual expressions of degraded self-hatred. I feel sorry. I feel horrible when I'm in the presence of such mean-speaking, ignorance-spewing, incredibly cantankerous viewpoints that don't honor the integrity, the beauty, the diversity, the complexity, and the wondrous, rapturous intelligence of black people. That's why I hang with black folk all the time, because I know better than that. You heard?
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic black.
Did you applaud? You should have. Woo! Man, Dr. Dyson. Man, by the way, Cliff, if you're listening, we need to get Dr. Dyson on the air. Okay? So, wow, that's some fire right there. There are times, it's like, when you got a song and you hear it, and it's so good that you play it over and over again. That's one of those that I'm trying to play. I think I might play that one over and over again, okay? Now, by the way, if you want to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, give me a call at 615-554-0568. We've got some other segments that we're going to tell you about that you're going to be able to sponsor. You'll be able to sponsor the phone. You'll be able to sponsor the studio. We're going to do all of those things. We're about to crank up our game right here on joinnetradio.com. So we'll get you posted on all of that. But give me a call at 615-554-0568 if you want to know about the changes that are headed your way as it relates to Dynamic Black Facts and Black Focus Radio. Because although your business may be struggling right now, the key to not going out of business is to let people know that you're in business. So, like I said, that song that you always play and it hits you, and you might have heard that song before. You know what I'm saying? But it hits you kind of, you've heard it 1,000 times, but maybe what's going on in your life might be affecting how you feel, and that perfect song comes on. That's what this is. So I got to play it one more again. Okay? Can I run it back? Here's Michael Eric Dyson explaining you in his own inimitable way why black people can't be racist.
For those of you who have heard similar viewpoints espoused by similar people, let me tell you this. That kind of lethal ignorance, that kind of viewpoint that disparages black people, number one. That condescends and talks down to us, number two. That draws specious, spurious parallels between white racism and black racism. Racism presupposes the ability to control a significant segment of the population economically, politically, and socially by imposing law, covenant, and restriction on their lives. Black people ain't had no capacity to do that. Can we be bigoted? Yes. Can we be prejudiced? Yes. Racist? No. The unintelligence of the formulation is problematic when any black person says that. Number three, when black people began to spew this notion that 96% of black people are racist because we vote for a black candidate, suggests that all white people who vote for all white candidates are therefore also unavoidably racist. By that logic, everybody in the world is racist and it balances out, doesn't it? It makes no sense. It is illogical and irrational to its core. What we see when we hear these kinds of comments are lethal self-hatred, the denial of the humanity to black people that we see reflected in the dominant white society, refracted through the prism of our own black lives. Unmolested by enlightenment, such people are peripatetic, that is, walking around virtuous, not in terms of their virtue, but virtuous, virtual expressions of degraded self-hatred. I feel sorry. I feel horrible when I'm in the presence of such mean-speaking, ignorance-spewing, incredibly cantankerous viewpoints that don't honor the integrity, the beauty, the diversity, the complexity, and the wondrous, rapturous intelligence of black people. That's why I hang with black folk all the time, because I know better than that. You heard?
You heard. You heard. You heard.
Oh man, I love that. I tell you what, from this point on, I got to keep that. I'm gonna save that because when I hear black folks talk about black folks racist, I've been telling y'all that for the longest. Okay, y'all hadn't gotten it yet. So who better to tell you than the Word God himself? That's what I call Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, the Word God. Who better to tell you than him about your racism and the lack thereof? So that's what's on our mind today. We got some other stuff coming up. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about a few headlines and what we're going to do on the show later on. We've got another dynamic guest coming up about 12:30, featuring Speak Loudly by Patrick Oliver.
1:30.
12:30.
12:30.
Yeah, she's coming at 12:30 today.
Ah.
Yeah, because she had an appointment at 1:30.
Oh, okay.
So I just bumped her up.
We got pushed up.
Yeah, she got pushed up. Now, this segment is going to be called The Black Focus Point. You'll be hearing more about those segments here later on, okay? All right, so we'll be back in a moment. Y'all stick and stay, don't go away. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices, right on JoyNetRadio.com.
Hey fans, are you looking for the best chicken wings in the city? Then look no further than Great American Wings, located at 3230 Colonel Glenn Road in Little Rock. Getting ready for the big game? It's Great American Wings. Getting ready for dinner for the family? It's Great American Wings. Lunch, dinner, or snacks? It's Great American Wings. No matter the size of your group or the flavor of your wings, Great American Wings got you covered. Call today at 501-406-7134 to place your order. Are you on a tight schedule and don't have time to stop by Great American Wings? Don't fret. Call us up and we'll deliver your favorite flavors right to your front door. That's why we're called Great American Wings, because we aim to please. Don't miss out on the best wings in the city. It's Great American Wings, located at 3230 Colonel Glenn Road, right here in Little Rock. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Great American Wings is guaranteed to offer you something that'll tickle your taste buds.
So, we're going to have...
Now try the best. It's Great American Wings.
this on both hours, starting at the bottom. Okay? So that whole segment to the top of the hour, theoretically, is mainly be 15 minutes, but if we need to extend it, we can to 30. Okay? So that'll be at the bottom of each hour, the 1 o'clock hour and the 2 o'clock hour. Your cityscapes is going to be at the 1 o'clock hour, coming out of the top of the hour break. Okay?
CocoBellChocolates.com.
And I haven't plugged in the others as of yet. Okay? So that's kind of where, and we got to figure out where we're going to have Cliff's Corner.
Join us. Yeah, I want to talk to you about your children, how they can get free money.
So I'm thinking that we'll probably do Cliff's Corner. We've got headlines there.
We want to talk it out.
Now, if we don't have a guest, our guests are always going to be here at the bottom of the hour. So always remember that going forward, that 12:30 is their time, or 1:30. Okay? Now, if they want to come in and sit the whole hour, then we'll give them the 1 o'clock. But still, throughout that hour, we're still going to do our little parts. You understand what I'm saying? So if they're here, that's fine, but we'll condense what we need to do as far as, Cliff's Corner, Cityscapes, things of that nature. Does that make sense? So I hadn't plugged it in yet because I'm kind of working it as we go on the show to see how it works out. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Hi, I'm Raven M. Hunter, the author of You Would Not Your Circumstances.
So,
I want to invite you to the 4th annual You Would Not
and I'm
Your
thinking about doing,
Circumstances
and I know
Conference
people
on
can hear me, but I'm
July
thinking about
17th through 18th. The
doing
theme
this
is
segment
My
called
Testimony.
"You Might Be Smarter Than the President."
Community Life Center, 1026 Ray Road, Jacksonville, Arkansas. $50.
I'm serious. Cause man, did you just see the press conference? Dude, man. Robert, I'm telling you, man. Yesterday was like the climax of the season-long show. I mean, dude.
Don't forget to join me on
We're gonna talk about it, dude. Woo, Lord.
Hunter. Call 501-744-7491, or you can email
Oh my God, it was
@gmail.com.
unbelievable.
I'll see you there.
All right, welcome back to the show. David W. Coleman along with Robert Webb. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. You can call us up if you want to at 855-525-5683. If you want to add something to the show, we'd love to have you because we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So let me tell you what's on the agenda today, okay? Because it's pretty cool. Let me make sure. I got to move Dr. Dyson back up. I got to just repost that real fast. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure it's at the top of my wall. And by the way, if y'all want to go out, if you all are running into people who want to say that black people are racist, y'all might need to go out and download that and upload it and send it to people. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay, so let me tell you first what we're going to talk about today. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll talk to, Patrick Oliver is celebrating 23 years of literacy, traveling around the country, teaching black kids to read. I guess some of you parents are realizing that your kid can't read.
Will you stop?
And you probably can't either. But anyway, Patrick has been going around. That's a good one. Go on, Rob. Give me some. Go on, Rob. Go on, Rob. Go on. Go on, Rob. Go on, Rob. You gonna give me it? Okay,
No,
all
I
right.
can't give you none of that.
Oh, that's me.
No,
Man.
black folks,
So I'm
man.
just saying. There you go.
That wasn't even worth the drum roll. That wasn't even worth it.
But anyway, rim shot, not a drum roll.
Rim shot, drum roll.
Coming up, we've got Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett, who's going to be on the show today. She's a diversity administrator at North Carolina State, motivational speaker. She's done all of this great stuff. And she'll be here. And of course, if you've heard our last two female guests, Black Power Sisters, that I call them, man, they were on point. And it's going to be interesting to see because, we've talked to Dr. Brooks, Dr. Quinn at Arkansas State, and she's the diversity, not counselor, I forgot what they call her, but she's over diversity at Arkansas State. And she had some interesting things about how diversity is just a joke. It's just a catchphrase for a lot of these companies. So it'll be interesting to see what Dr. Helms Pickett talks about. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the Chinese. Of course, if you hadn't been paying attention, they have been expelling black people from their country. More importantly, they've been putting them out of the houses, even at McDonald's, which is an American company. And I would argue at this point that maybe black people ought to boycott McDonald's.
Oh, God, Dave, not again.
Okay, because McDonald's is allowing Chinese to discriminate against black people in China. May not be a big deal to you, but
If we boycott everybody who discriminated against black folks, we would have nowhere to go.
well, that may be true. That might be a good thing. Hell, you ain't got nowhere to go now, and you ain't boycotting nobody. You stand up in your house. Okay. By the way, you remember that Kerry water thing that I used to talk about?
Yeah.
Are you getting it yet? Because I'm going to tell you, they done lost my business. Also, we'll talk a little bit about NASCAR. You have a race problem, and Kyle Lawson is just the tip of the iceberg. Any public entity that allows its fans to wave the traitorous stars and bars during their events is questionable at best. So when one of its drivers utters a racial slur on national television for all to hear, should you be surprised? Have you heard about this, Robert?
I'm not a NASCAR fan.
You don't have to be a NASCAR fan to understand what happened. We'll talk about it. Also, Asa is still holding his breath, hoping that the $100 million tax cut to the top 1% in the state does not come back to bite him in the ass. We'll update you on how many Arkansans have died from COVID-19 and ask the question, does Asa have the blood of dead Arkansans on his hands? And last but not least, you're voting for a Republican. Can you tell me why? Did you see the unhinged presser yesterday? The Republicans enabled that idiocy, and Americans are paying with their lives. So that's what we got up today, Robert. We got a few minutes before our guest calls. So what's on your mind today? All righty then.
You got major issues.
So, but those are some of the headlines that we're going to talk about today. There are others. Also, the Theodore Roosevelt, the aircraft carrier that Captain Crozier was removed from just last week. One of its sailors died from COVID-19 a couple of days ago. And by the way, now the number of sailors on that ship that has COVID-19 is now up to 600. Now think about this. I heard a statistic this morning that blew me away. He said that's over 10% of the sailors that are on that ship that has COVID-19. How many people are in America, Robert?
323 million, I think the last number.
323 million. You're about right. Think about this. What if 10% of the American population got COVID-19? That's over 32 million people. And they fired this captain. This captain laid his life on the line. He killed his career to save those sailors. And you know why this is sensitive to me? My son is a sailor. Now, he's not assigned to a ship at this point, but it's frustrating. And I know he's hurting just like all the other sailors because it's a brotherhood. Speaking of which, he is now in quarantine in a hotel room in San Angelo, Texas. He was scheduled to fly out tomorrow, but they've locked down the entire base.
Wow.
No one is going anywhere because the military is not going to take a chance on that virus hitting those bases.
Gotcha.
So what he does basically every day is hang out in a hotel room and eat microwave dinners. So I felt bad when I posted my food on Sunday because I had already talked to him and knew what he was eating. So I'm going to put together him a care package and send it to him because that's pretty pathetic. But hats off to those sailors who didn't deserve and don't deserve to catch that virus. We also need to start paying attention to what's going on in our prisons. You know, if I'm in prison for B&E, that's not a death sentence. And it seems that the prison systems around this country are acting slowly when it comes to COVID-19. And the question is, why are they doing that? Is it money? Those are questions that we need to find out. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. In the break, I'm going to look up, so when we get to that segment, I'm going to look up, or Robert, he may do it, I'm going to look up the number of Arkansans who have died thus far from COVID-19.
What's the number, 28?
I don't know. I don't know where it is right now. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because we're headed into the peak season and of COVID-19. And by the way, if you're wondering why I've got the Constitution out, we're going to have a constitutional lesson here. Your president needs it. Hopefully he's listening.
Jesus.
Okay. All right, so we're going to take the bottom of the hour break. Big show coming up here in just a moment. When we come back, hopefully we'll have Patrick online. We'll talk to him. And we'll talk. And by the way, our guest, Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett, guess where she's from?
Where?
Stink City, baby. Pine Bluff.
Really?
Yep. So that's pretty cool. All right, coming up here in just a moment. So we're going to take this break. We'll be back in a moment. After the break, Patrick Oliver and Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett. I got to pick at her a little bit from being from Stink City. That's what we used to call it back in the day when we were getting ready to play them. Beat Stink City.
You said Hams or Helms?
Helms
Helms.
Pickett. Okay. Back in a moment, you're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. Right here on joynetradio.com.
The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experience.
Hello, Patrick. Patrick? You there, Patrick? Dr. Pickett, you there? All right, great. Thanks for calling. Looking forward to talking to you. You're an old Arkansas girl from what I understand, down there from Stink City. So welcome to the show. You got to be... we've got kind of like a ringing, Patrick. Yeah, try to call me back. Call me back. Hang up and call back. Okay. There's some if you go out to his Facebook page, there's some information out there. Patrick, that's much better. Oh, that's so much better. Great. All right, we got about 90 seconds before we come back. So hey, y'all need to knock it out the park now. Knock it out the park. Yeah, we've allotted 30 minutes, but if you only can give us 15, that's great. Okay, so 15 will be cool. Okay? All right. Stand by.
Your favorite flavors right to your front door. That's why we're called Great American Wings, because we aim to please. Don't miss out on the best wings in the city. It's Great American Wings, located at...
Hey, Jackie, what's up? What's up, Billy Jack?
Right here in Little Rock. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Great American Wings is guaranteed to offer you something that'll tickle your taste buds. You tried the rest, now try the best. It's Great American Wings.
I'm Rizal Aaron. We invite you to join us for the Power of Justice broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon right here at JoyNet Radio Studios, where we talk about issues concerning civil rights, human rights, social justice, and all of the areas that impact civil rights and human rights in Arkansas, but also across the country. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend, every Tuesday and Thursday right here at JoyNet Radio, beautiful downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. We look forward to seeing you on the radio.
All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio, of course. This segment of the show is called Black Focus Points, and we're going to focus today on another fantastic black female power sister right here from Arkansas.
The crowd's going wild. The crowd's going wild.
By way of Chicago. That's okay, because my baby girl is in Chicago right now. Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett. Dr. Pickett is an Associate Vice Provost of for Diversity Engagement Training and Education in the Office of for Institutional Equity and Diversity at North Carolina State University. She's the author of 3 books. They can be found at drhelmspickett.com/shop. And of course, you can check out on Facebook and everything. Dr. Pickett, homegirl, Stink City. Hey, what's happening? Well, I'm actually staying at the radio station. I pitched a tent here. You know, I've been here for 7 days straight now, but that's okay. That's okay.
Of course you have.
Dr. Pickett is joining us today. Every day this week, we are focusing on the 23rd anniversary of Say It Loud with the great Patrick Oliver, of course. And we're proud to have her on. The focus of this is her story, my vision, and game plan for the future. So, Dr. Pickett, what's your vision and what's your game plan for the future?
My vision is to see every child educated and provided with the tools to reach wherever they desire, and that they are treated fairly and equitably, and that we recognize the value of what they bring. And we need systems to do that. We need communities to do that. Of course, parents and guardians, because children are ready. They just need opportunity, and they need for us to believe in them.
So when you talk about those systems to recognize, you know, as we witness the tragedy of COVID-19, how it's wreaking havoc on our community, particularly the Black community, and of course we look at the history of this country and how it has dropped the ball on educating our children. How do we move towards that vision that you just discussed?
Absolutely. It has been really heartbreaking.
Damn, I'm good.
As a member of the community and as an educator, and immediately when we moved into the determination that we needed to be in our homes and not in our schools in order for safety, immediately the need for ensuring that everyone had equal access became even more apparent. I think these are things that we've been saying all along in different pockets, but when we reach homes, and some homes don't have computers, and if you have a computer, you may not have internet access. You may not have the tools in terms of someone available to assist you with learning because perhaps your parent or guardian is an essential employee, which we are very grateful for. But those inequities have been brought to the forefront even more. And so it's going to take a collective. It takes all of us to use our voices, to use our influence, to be able to give back, to move from a place of just taking care of our very own and our immediate household and thinking about the child next door, across the street, and around the corner. We have resources. We have them in our churches and our sororities and fraternities, civic organizations. We have enormous popularity going through social media outlets and sharing. And we've got to move back to that collective mindset. It was done before, and somewhere along the way, in terms of us having access to different things that perhaps even our ancestors weren't, we forgot about community being at the heart. And so I think that has been amplified in an undeniable way, that perhaps my hope, my prayer, my intent is that we don't move from here, that we continue to operate in our own spheres of influence when we are permitted to return to some sense of normalcy.
When you look around, well, and you know that was going to be my next question, because you talked about the different entities that we already have in place as far as fraternities, sororities, churches, you name it. What can be done? Because I believe that those entities are the key in changing the whole dynamic in the Black community. Yet they do some things, but they don't engage in the things that I would say matter to the overall success of our Black people. So how do we motivate them? How do we get into those preachers' ears? How do we get into Basilis's ears to say, hey, here's the vision that we all need to share in order to move our community forward?
I completely completely agree with you, and that's going to require us to lay down our personal and individualized agendas and to look collectively. So I work on the scholarship committee within my sorority. Immediately, it was a small change, but we give out, $6,000. So it originally was to 3 different people. Now we said we're going to give 6 $1,000 scholarships. We're going to relax of having certain requirements associated with applications. For instance, we're going to put it back in the hands of students, things that they enjoy. You can submit a video. You can do a PowerPoint or a Prezi. You can do a pamphlet. We are relaxing those requirements. If we need you to have 2 letters of recommendation, we'll even take letters of recommendation that you may have used for something else. A year ago, that would have been unheard of. People would have said, oh no, you have to have one specifically with our name in the title. Those things don't matter. We need to get the resources to the children or young people because we want them to go on to higher education. So we've got to relax our systems in ways. We've got to be able to listen to young people in terms of what it is that they want. And while we have put so much energy in behind STEM, which I'm a fan of, there are some kids where that's not their passion. So how are we elevating arts and other creative measures to ensure that we touch every part of the child and their giftings that exist and not just being really stagnant and following what mainstream has said is important, because that may not be applicable to the communities of color, Black children and particularly Black families. I think we also need to look at our health. We talk about that a lot, but unfortunately, we know that systems have failed communities of color. But we also know that there are underlying issues to our diet, to our way of being. Patrick, who, is over and spearheading this amazing week, is a vegan. And we laugh and talk about that, but that's a plant-based diet that allows his body to move in a different way than someone that is constantly on many of the foods that we grew up and were a part of our heritage, but the way that they've been grown and pesticides have made their impact on our bodies behave totally different. So we've got to own some of the things that we have become accustomed to and shift that energy in such a way that our generations will be able to have a different experience than the ones that have previously lived and moved.
Hey, Dr. Helms, Robert Webb here. I got a couple of questions.
sorry?
Oh, this is Robert Webb. We're going to segue if you don't mind. Thank you for coming on the show. Hey, I checked out your blog, and really nice blog. Give us a little bit about your blog and why you thought that was important.
Thank you. So I appreciate that. I've been blogging for probably about 4 or 5 years, and I laugh at myself because I feel like I'm putting my business in the street. But I call myself a church girl. That's how I grew up. But it means nothing if we cannot apply the word to our practical experiences. So I'm very transparent in talking about how I'm accepting something or how I'm not accepting it, how I move through my day-to-day, and looking at it through a biblical lens, but hopefully engaging someone that might not be a follower of Christ, might not be someone that attends church on Sunday, but can look at the principles associated in that blog and figure out how they can apply it to their day-to-day to be able to deal with workplace situations, home life situations, other people around them, and most importantly, just living peaceably within themselves. So it's been a great joy to be able to do that. I write blogs every Monday. I try to have it up by Monday at 9 a.m. And recently I've added a podcast to kind of go a little bit deeper that will come out on Fridays to complement the blog as well.
She is.
I'll tell you. Go ahead. She's got to run here. So
one more question before we go, then I'm done. This is my last one. So I hear you're a musical artist. So tell us a little bit about that. You dance, okay.
I serve as the coordinator of the adults and the youth in my church, and I also volunteer teaching worship dance to incarcerated women. And I do that about twice a month, and I've been doing that for about 7 years. So it gives me great freedom. I'm missing it a lot in terms of working with the women and in my church, but I find ways of being able to worship and express myself through dance in my home. So not as much movement, not engaging with people because I like to be in the face of people and be able to move them and minister to them in terms of their situations. But it is something that I can still do somewhat in my home, and I look forward to being able to engage outside of my home through that ministry soon. But other than that, not musically inclined. My brother got that. He is a musician. He plays bass guitar. I just dance.
All right, cool.
All right, before we let you go, just one other quick point. We've had a very dear friend of the show who comes on periodically. She is head of diversity at Arkansas Tech University, and I've heard this before, and I noticed that you deal with diversity as well at North Carolina State. And I've heard a lot of black people who are in those positions say that diversity is just a term, and quite often those entities, whether it's a college, whether it's a corporation, or whatever the case may be, they run interference with diversity. What are your thoughts on that, and how do we continue moving forward in that aspect?
You know, I would agree. It definitely is a term, and each of us as individuals can find some aspect of ourselves where we can identify and say, this is what makes us diverse. If you do and put no action behind it, then it is just terminology. So my commitment is in terms of where is our intent and how are we impacting and shifting environments such that everyone can show up in terms of who they are. That you don't have to code switch, meaning being one way in one instance and being another way with someone else. But how can you bring your full self regardless of your age, your race, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, veteran status, not ability, all of the whole of who you are. And so what I try to do in my day-to-day is shifting environments. How are we all becoming more culturally competent? We never reach this full extent where we put on our cape and we have nothing more to learn. My young adult children teach me every day that there's something I need to learn amongst this generation and this journey. Terminology changes all the time. And how can I be aware of my tendencies, my attitudes, my knowledge, and my skills in a way that I have that in the back of my mind when I'm interacting with other people. So in my role, I'm really interested in how that shows up for faculty, because I believe that you come to a university, you want to leave with a degree, but you don't want to leave with more harm than perhaps when you entered. So how are we shaping curriculum that people are able to see themselves? How are we looking at teaching methodologies so that a person that's a visual learner or a person that's an auditory learner or a kinesthetic learner is able to use their skills to be able to have a transference of knowledge? How do we incorporate identity in such a way that we value and respect various cultural perspectives? So it's an ongoing journey. It's something we have to commit ourselves to. Many universities or colleges have diversity and equity and inclusion in their strategic plans and their goals, but what is the action behind it? And how will we be able to collectively move the needle? And a lot of times in diversity positions, I'll give you that. I identify as a black woman. I go to conferences with people that are diversity officers. There are a lot of people that look like me, a lot of people that would be black and brown. And, you know, a lot of times when you're doing the work, it may not be with people that look directly like us. So I am encouraged because I have some allies on my campus that don't look like me that are committed to doing their personal work. So there are a lot of great tools and resources out there. There's one that we're looking at training now that allows you to see where you believe you are in terms of cultural competency and where you actually are. Because most of us would say, oh yeah, I'm accepting, I'm engaging at all. When you get down to it, you each have some work to do. So that tool allows us to see where you are and then provide some steps as to how you can move further along in the process. So it's ongoing, it's messy work, but I love it. I've been doing it for probably about 20 years, did my dissertation research on it, and feel like it's something that is a part of my life passion.
Well, that's fantastic. We know you've got to run. I'm going to turn you on to Dr. Nakendra Brooks. She's a fantastic lady and head of diversity at Arkansas Tech University as well. And I'm sure that you all can compare some notes. I do. Before you go, I want to mention your 3 books. Her Name is She. By the way, you can get that on her website. Also, Later Never Came Until Now, and then Worshiper in the Workplace. So those are 3 dynamic books by Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett. By the way, folks, she is an Arkansas girl from Pine Bluff, and she got some of the DNA of Patrick. They kinfolk as well. So good people all the way around. So thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it. Go ahead, Patrick.
Very quickly, remember she's on at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central, noon on the Pacific Coast, on our Facebook group page, to say it loud, readers and writers, to be our guest speaker for the day for the vision session with young girls and women.
And I'm so excited. I thank you all for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, and I hope that some of your listeners will be able to tune in today or the rest of the week for all of the great programming that Patrick has planned.
Well, that's fantastic. And again, we appreciate you joining us. Next time you're in the Little Rock area, hopefully you'll come by and holler at us for sure. But you keep up the great work, and it's always great to talk to a dynamic, powerful sister, which, in fact, you are.
Yeah, keep doing good work and love you. Oh, my bad. Y'all go ahead. We'll go. Great. Hey,
all right.
Keep doing work and love you, black people.
All right. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for joining us. All right. That's good stuff right there.
That is. Man.
That's good black radio right there. You know what I'm saying?
Black radio.
It
don't get no blacker than that.
That's what I'm saying. So, and then I also to be talking to a homegirl, and I had hoped we could keep it a whole 30 minutes, but that's fine. We got a lot of information in as well, and we're gonna have. And I meant to ask Patrick, who do we have tomorrow? Because Patrick has been supplying us with guests, with fabulous guests all week as they celebrate their 23rd anniversary of Speak Loudly. If you're not familiar with Speak Loudly and Patrick Oliver, here's an opportunity for you to do just that by simply going out to the Facebook page. It don't cost you one nickel.
Not one.
One nickel.
Not even a plug.
Just go out there and listen and get an idea of what Patrick Oliver is doing. And by the way, he might be a great person to come to your school to talk about reading and get your children involved or get their attitudes about reading on a different plane, because that's where it all begins. Because it's funny, a friend of mine this morning was talking about, she put up a post, have you all got generators? Can you find a generator? So apparently generators are few and far between here in Little Rock. So, and the point being is, by the way, I do have a generator. Yeah, I do. The point being is that what would happen if you didn't have the internet? How would you entertain your children? Or how would they entertain themselves? Books, baby. Books, baby, books. You know, this would be a great opportunity as well to take your kids to the library. If your kids doesn't have a library card, you're dropping the ball, mom and dad. It's free. Didn't cost 1 red cent. So you might not be able to order books, but you can check them out from the library. It's such a great place to be. I love the library. I was one of those nerds who simply read the dictionary from A to Z. I actually read, back in the day, we didn't have the internet. What did we have, Robert? Every household had them. Encyclopedias. I read A to Z. I read every encyclopedia in my house. Sometimes we didn't have television. By the way, shout out to my mom who's in the hospital, fell and broke her knee, Miss Evelyn Coleman.
Hope she gets well soon.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. The hospital is where I don't want her at right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we can't even go see her.
Yeah, that's the bad part.
That's what's frustrating about it. They won't even let us go see her, and I know she's raising hell right now. When can I go home? So I just want to shout out to my mom, Evelyn Coleman, who was in the hospital with a broken knee. She'll get better. 94 years young. So we don't want her in the hospital. That's for sure. Okay. So coming up next time, we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. We'll talk about some of the things that have been happening locally and nationally. If you didn't see the press conference yesterday with Donald Trump, and I've been telling Robert that these press conferences now have become must-see TV. They have. I mean, it's tuning into your favorite series. It's like tuning into The Bachelor or Survivor or Westworld. Westworld is my favorite show right now. Have you watched Westworld?
I have not, and nor will I.
Why?
But thank you very much.
Why are you so negative, Robert? You know, the answer should have been, no, I have not watched it, but what is it about?
You really have to care to ask that question. I don't.
Oh, man. It's actually pretty good.
Of course you'd say that.
It is.
It probably sucks.
Oh, Robert.
Any black people in it?
As a matter of fact, there are quite a few. And
how many characters in the show?
And one of the main...
How many characters in the show?
If you just hush
Are you going to answer my question or no?
If you just hush your mouth just for a minute, one of the main characters in the show is Thandie Newton, who is a black woman.
Okay.
Okay? So, but do you not remember Westworld with Yul Brynner, the movie that came out in the 70s?
I do not.
Gosh. It was actually a Western. He was the fastest drawer. And come to find out, he was a robot at the end.
Everybody's telling you libraries are closed, player. So stop doing that, they said.
Okay, that's fine. But get him a card. You can still get him a card online. Golly, y'all always trying to be negative.
I'm just telling what folks saying, man. I ain't got nothing to do with it.
You know, y'all just trying to be
I'm
negative.
just saying, they saying Dave Coleman, library's closed. Hush.
Okay. No, I ain't
They
hushing.
calling you out, player.
That's all right.
It's about to go down.
Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. I'm not on medication today.
So you feeling it? All right.
Man, yes.
Listen, man. Westworld. Listen.
It is a good series.
Listen, man. So how many characters in the movie? How many characters in the series total?
Well, two of the main characters. By the way, they're women too. Two of the main characters are women, and they're black. Three of the main characters are women.
I was just
here.
text that the white libraries, they have curbside service.
There you go.
The black libraries, however, do not.
Okay, what are the black
I'm
libraries?
just kidding. I don't know. That's just a joke.
So the Roosevelt Thompson Library, is that a black library? It's only in a white neighborhood, though. I never have figured that
That
out.
would be a white library.
I haven't figured that out why they would put Rosie's dear friend of mine who played with me on my football team as well, why they would put him somewhere out in a white neighborhood. I just haven't figured that out. But anyway, hey, we're going to take the top of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to jump into some of our headlines. It ought to thrill Robert. We're going to definitely talk about Wisconsin, because Wisconsin, it blew up in the Republicans' faces. It's hilarious. That's what y'all get. And I'm going to tell you, that might be a harbinger of things to come in November.
Yeah. It might be Joe Elliott goes over the top this year.
Hey, that's what I'm
Could be
saying.
huge.
That might be a harbinger of things to come, and we're hoping it is. Hey, we'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices, right here on JoyNetRadio.com. So if you notice, you see how the show flows a little bit better. That soaring eagles thing, you know, just for your edification.
Hey, have you heard of COVID-19?
Yeah, but I heard black people can't get it, so I'm good.
Well, that's absolutely not true.
So,
and
this is where we sell spots.
and spreading COVID-19. I'm curious,
See what I'm
else have you
saying?
heard?
I'm almost embarrassed to
So,
say
So
But
we
I
have
hear you spray
potential.
bleach all over your body. You can
We
kill
have
the
6
viruses that
breaks
have already entered your
to
body.
sell just commercials.
That's also not true. Truth is,
And then we're going to let people sponsor the different segments
what you can
as well, as well as the phone. So in that case, while they want a phone, Patrick is coming to us on the Robert Well Building Company
No,
phone.
one more thing. So if I get the flu shot, that won't stop me from getting COVID-19?
Correct. The flu shot can protect you from the flu. If you do begin
I'm saying, what are you doing with your
fever, dry cough, shortness of breath, call your doctor and find out if you should get tested. More ways on how you can protect yourself.
Hard, but it's fair, man. Hard, but it's fair.
Research.
Arkansas Minority Health Commission. Your health, our priority.
Hello to quality time at Marco's. Hello to the best part of the day and to making someone else's. Say hello to late nights and to the best night ever. These are the primo moments, and they call for Italian quality pizza. Dough made from scratch every day. Sauce with a history in the making from the original Gianmarco recipe. Say hello to an authentic favorite. Every store, every day, the Italian way. Hello, Primo.
Hey fans, are you looking for the best chicken wings in the city? Then look no further than Great American Wings, located at 3230 Colonel Glenn Road in Little Rock. Getting ready for the big game? It's Great American Wings. Getting ready for dinner for the family? It's Great American Wings. Lunch, dinner, or snacks? It's Great American Wings. No matter the size of your group or the flavor of your wings, Great American Wings got you covered. Call today at 501-406-7134 to place your order. Are you on a tight schedule and don't have time to stop by Great American Wings? Don't fret. Call us up and we'll deliver your favorite flavors right to your front door. That's why we're called Great American Wings, because we aim to please. Don't miss out on the best wings in the city. It's Great American Wings, located at 3230 Colonel Glenn Road, right here in Little Rock. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Great American Wings is guaranteed to offer you something that'll tickle your taste buds. You tried the rest, now try the best. It's Great American Wings.
You got it. It's Rock's answer to your aggravation. The Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Now,
So,
let's get ready to
as soon as you hear that
focus
last
on
word, you
our
gotta click that
issues,
button.
our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Because we're going to get you over here to run the board here pretty soon, so you better start paying
Welcome to
attention.
Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of the show. We want to thank Patrick Oliver and Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett for joining us in the first hour. I want to remind you that if you missed any part of that interview, you can go back and download the podcast. It'll be ready at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and check out all the conversation throughout the show, and included the special guests that we had. And you can do that with all the shows. Just go out, and by the way, if you follow us on Facebook, I usually post the link to the podcast on my Facebook page. So either way, you can still get the show. So we got a few things to talk about this hour. Let's first start off by talking about Wisconsin. And you're probably saying, well, wait a minute, Dave. You're in Arkansas. Why are you talking about Wisconsin? Well, I'm talking about Wisconsin because if you don't know, last week, oh, wait a minute, let me look at this. There might be another one. Last week, or I should say Tuesday, Wisconsin had an election. They wanted to postpone the election because of the coronavirus, and they didn't want people going and standing in line in polling places with the potential of catching the virus. So, okay, so I was just looking at something else. So what happened is that they have a Democratic governor who sought to postpone the election. They have a Republican legislature. And the Republican legislature decided that they wanted to have the election. It went all the way, by the way, to the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. And the Supreme Court is weighted by conservatives. It just so happens that one of those conservatives was up for election. Okay? So they went ahead and had the election. Milwaukee, the population in Milwaukee is off the top of my head. I don't have it, but let's put it this way. They ended up having to, only in the city of Milwaukee, that has a gigantic black population, they only had 5 polling places. Robert, if you can, will you look up that population? They only had 5 polling places. And when you hear the number of people that were in Milwaukee, and if you can get a racial breakdown as well, I'm curious, it will shock you. And the whole point of them doing that was to try and, number one, disenfranchise voters, and hopefully that there would be a low turnout so that their candidate would win. And I'm telling you of this story because this is what we need to do when people try to put obstacles in front of us to vote. Their candidate lost. Judge Jill Karofsky is now headed to the Ohio Supreme Court. The victory marked the first time in a dozen years that a Supreme Court challenger beat an incumbent. This is why this is so huge. She wasn't already on the court, she was a challenger. And she beat the incumbent, Justice Dan Kelly. And just the second time in more than a half a century. Her win over Kelly will shift the conservative control of the court from 5-2 to 4-3. And that's huge. That's huge. So I'm telling you this story. You got those numbers?
You got the numbers, man.
Okay, what's the population of Milwaukee?
594,833.
So that's 500,000.
594,000.
Okay.
833.
833.
Yeah, you got 44.6% white, 38.8% black.
And I think Milwaukee is the city that has more black people in Wisconsin than any other city.
Yeah, it's a majority. It's majority minority.
Mm-hmm.
Latinos push over the top with 18.8%.
So there's over 500,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you remember the number that I gave you for the amount of polling places they had for that election?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They had 5.
It makes sense, yeah.
You get this, right?
Yeah, you slow that roll.
So theoretically, there 100,000 people would have had to go to each polling place in Milwaukee alone in order to vote. And the Republicans knew that. And they did everything that they could to disenfranchise and keep and suppress the voters. It didn't work. Them voters were out there in line with them. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures. They were in line. They were they had their mask on. I saw where one of the young men, he said, "Man, I waited for 6 hours to vote."
Yeah, he was getting it in.
Okay? So my point to you is this. I don't want to hear any more about voter disenfranchisement. We need to, in fact, we really need to stop talking about that. Okay? Because I think that enables people to say, "Oh, they're gonna try to keep me from voting anyway, so I'm gonna stop voting." We know they're gonna try to disenfranchise voters. We know that they're gonna try to suppress the vote. What we have to do as registered voters is vote. Let's prove them wrong. If you gotta stand in line for 6 hours, power to the people. Okay?
Only if I'm only voting for Biden.
We're not talking about Biden right now.
But I got to make the point. Only if he has Stacey Abrams. Nobody else.
We're not talking about Biden right now.
Nobody else can I support.
You're gonna vote in other racist, though, aren't you?
Of course.
Okay, so that's what we're talking
Black
about.
people, understand, just because I'm not going to vote for Biden don't mean I'm not voting. Jesus.
He ain't vote for Biden. That's why Trump in the office anyway, because y'all didn't vote.
Yeah. I love it how everybody was wanting to blame black folks for something.
So, but
Corona called black folk wouldn't stay at home. Yeah, right, whatever.
Well, the point is that these people in Milwaukee, and I heard a young lady after the vote and after Ms. Krafowski had been named the winner, she said, hey, that's what they get because they tried to keep us from voting and they weren't going to stop me from voting. And she said as she stood in the line, there were other people who were saying the exact same thing. So power to the people. This is how you beat them because they know that if they can't win on their issues, they have to steal votes. They have to disenfranchise. So they don't have a message. And if we all get out to vote, we can ruin this whole thing. Okay, he's sighing again.
Yeah, man.
Why are you sighing?
Because again,
why are you sighing?
I'm not telling people just to get out and vote just for the sake of getting out to vote. We need.
That's not what I'm saying, Robert.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
You just like the rest of them.
I
just go
not.
vote. Don't worry about it.
No, that is
Just
not
go
what I
vote.
said.
Just go vote.
That
Don't
is
worry
not what I
about it,
said. Why are you trying to put words in my mouth?
What's most important is getting rid of Trump. That's all it
No,
matters.
what's most important is getting rid of the Republicans, period. Because they've enabled Trump.
Oh, so that's what you're saying right now.
Yes.
So with all the problems that we face in our community, the only thing you telling people is go out and vote so we can get rid of Trump.
No, get rid of Republicans.
Trump ain't my problem.
Republicans
Trump
are.
ain't my problem.
Republicans are.
Trump ain't my problem.
Okay, what's your problem?
My problem is black folk. Like you saying just go vote. That's my problem.
Also, you don't like black folks?
I don't like black folks like you who say just go vote.
That's not what I said.
Damn everything else. Just go out and vote. Just go ahead and cast your vote.
No, that's not what I
said.
said. How many times
for the white man?
How many times have you
Power
been on
to
this
the white
show
man.
that I've said you have to cast your vote with a educated mind? How
You're
many
not
times?
saying that right now.
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, people enough have listened to the show enough to know what I'm talking about.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
God,
this is the reason we will always be where we are. Because first off, we didn't even support Bernie Sanders, the man who's talking about our issues. But now,
Elizabeth Warren,
we're gonna go we're gonna go out in a blaze of glory with Joe Biden,
Joe Biden,
who has no earthly, not even remotely. Not even is he remotely concerned about issues in the black community, and here we are. We're finna go out and vote.
So why are you hating? Obama just endorsed him this morning. Oh, that's right. You don't like Obama.
Why I gotta not like Obama?
Because you don't like Biden. He was Obama's vice president. You ought to like him.
David Duke used to be in the Ku Klux Klan, and he stopped on the side of the road and gave a man help who had a flat with his spare tire. Am I supposed to like David Duke now because he helped a black man with a spare tire?
Now, what the hell does that have to do with what we talking about?
That everything to do with it, player.
So you saying Joe Biden is a KKK member?
Biden just pulled over when Obama had a flat. He said, "All right, man, I'm gonna help you out." he didn't do nothing else. Come on, man.
Look, I didn't say that. That's Robert Webb. Send your letters and comments to Robert Webb.
And hey, all y'all texting me right now?
Get him.
Hell with y'all.
Get him.
Y'all just like the rest of them.
What do you mean the rest of them?
All y'all black folk. Y'all.
What you mean y'all black folk?
Y'all black folks selling everybody out just because y'all have to. We just need to get rid of Trump. I ain't create Trump. Trump ain't my problem. Everything about my area looks the same, regardless of who my president is, whether he black, white, Mexican, green, yellow, orange, or purple. It don't matter. He ain't my problem.
Get him, y'all.
Arguing about stuff we can't change.
You just don't like. You just don't like Obama. That's what your problem is.
I love black people.
You know, so you just don't like Obama. Biden's gonna do a lot of help. It's gonna help a lot of black people.
Who?
Biden. He's gonna be good for us.
Wow.
He is.
Has he ever?
Well,
name me one thing. Name me one piece of legislation that Biden has done that's been supportive of black.
He could change.
Yeah.
He could change.
I didn't just tell people to give up. And you know what? Don't tell us to go to hell. I didn't say. Oh, I didn't say go to hell. Okay, my bad.
It is your bad.
And I didn't tell nobody to give up. If y'all feel like giving up, then that's y'all fault. I ain't telling you to give up. But I am saying, let's not be suckers forever.
Well, I agree with you with that, but I still think that we definitely need to be educated when we go to the polls. That is a very important thing. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hey, we've got to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about China, and then we'll meld in this thing with NASCAR, okay? Because I think Robert, you haven't seen it or heard it, but I'll tell you the story of Kyle Lawson and his racial slur on national television, because it's hilarious. Not that he used the slur, but his apology. We're going to break down his apology and go from there. All right? So we'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. It always amazes me how people who have colored DNA are always racist. Back in a moment.
Hey, have you heard of COVID-19?
Yeah, but I heard black people can't get it, so I'm good.
Well, that's absolutely not true. And everyone is at risk of getting and spreading COVID-19. I'm curious, what else have you heard?
I'm almost embarrassed to say, but I hear if you spray bleach all over your body, you can kill the viruses that have already entered your body.
Wow.
You kill yourself
That's
too.
Also not true. Truth is, there's no way to kill the virus because there's currently no cure. What you can do is take preventative measures and wash your hands regularly. Practice social distancing. Stay home if you're sick, and clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces.
Noted. One more thing. So if I get the flu shot, that won't stop me from getting COVID-19?
Correct. The flu shot can protect you from the flu. If you do begin to develop symptoms of COVID-19 like fever, dry cough, shortness of breath,
Ooh, they done fired it.
you should get tested. For more ways on how you can protect yourself and your family from COVID-19, visit ArkansasMinority.com. Arkansas Minority Health Commission. Your health, our priority.
Hello to quality time at Marco's. Hello to the best part of the day. And to making someone else's. Say hello to late nights and to the best night ever. These are the primo moments, and they call for Italian quality pizza. Dough made from scratch every day. Sauce with a history in the making. From
Good
the
for
original
Chip Ganassi.
Marco recipe. Say hello to an authentic favorite. Every store, every day. The Italian way. Hello, Primo.
Hey fans, are you looking for the best chicken wings in the city? Then look no further than Great American Wings, located at 3230 Colonel Glenn Road in Little Rock. Getting ready for the big game? It's Great American Wings. Getting ready for dinner for the family? It's Great American Wings. Lunch, dinner, or snacks? It's Great American Wings.
Hey, do we know of
no
a
matter
black
the size of
business?
your group or the flavor of your wings.
Do we know of a
Great
black
American Wings
restaurant
got
that
you
we can
covered. Call today at
we can
501-406-7134
sell them some
to place
spots
your
for $5?
order. Are you on a tight schedule and don't have time to stop by Great American Wings?
Is there one that's still open?
We'll deliver your favorite flavors right to your front door. That's why we're called Great American Wings, because we aim to please. Don't miss out on the best wings in the city. It's Great American Wings, located at 3230 Colonel Glenn Road, right here in Little Rock. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Great American Wings is guaranteed to offer you something that'll tickle your taste buds. You tried the rest, now try the best. It's Great American Wings.
Missed that transition. All right, welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. Call us up, check us out. You can do that. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us an email. Some people like Latanya saying getting rid of Trump is the goal, and Trump is your problem. So you can do that as well by logging on to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Send us a message. So a couple of things I want to talk about in this segment, and they kind of go together. So first of all, let's talk about NASCAR. Now, I know Robert isn't a NASCAR fan. I am a NASCAR fan. I'm actually an open wheel racing fan. I've told a story where back when we were growing up, you were either open wheel or you were a stock car. And I don't know why, I love the Indianapolis 500. Look forward to watching it every year. A lot of people don't realize it was tape delayed a lot growing up. But it is live now. I had the opportunity to actually go to quite a few open wheel races while in Nashville, where they had a track before it went defunct, and got to stand in turn one. And I'm going to tell you, folks, you know, during that time, Danica Patrick got to see her race. And I'm going to tell you, folks, you know, people used to say that she can't drive. Anybody that's driving them cars like that, they can drive. Trust me. I'm going to tell you. It was nothing like, it was so exhilarating to see them cars come out of the start and come to turn one. I mean, it was unbelievable.
We might as well be talking about John Biden.
You got jokes today. Okay. But the reason I'm bringing NASCAR up is because of what happened this weekend. Kyle Lawson has recently been fired by Chip Ganassi Racing, which is one of the top racing groups in NASCAR. Now, why was he fired? A lot of these sports, you've noticed that the NBA is doing NBA 2K with players, which is, by the way, has been great. During commercial breaks, they give your kid tips on how to dribble and do certain things with the basketball. But you also get some insight into two players who are going against each other in virtual basketball. NASCAR has been doing the same thing in virtual racing. And last Friday, Kyle Larson apparently thought he was at home. And they broadcast this live every week now. So Kyle Lawson was recently fired by Chip Ganassi Racing, completing a stunning downfall for a budding NASCAR star who uttered a racial slur on a live streamed virtual race and then watched as nearly every one of his sponsors dropped his ass like a hot potato. Okay? Now what he basically did, and I was looking actually for the audio, but I'll read you what he said. Now, they were in a race, and apparently he lost communications, okay? He was competing in our racing event Sunday night when he appeared to lose communication with his spotter on his headset. During a check of his microphone, Larson said, "You can't hear me, nigger." Just as plain, and it was clear that he used the word on a regular basis. To the point where he had forgotten that he was on national TV. And boy, did the dookie hit the fan then. He issued an apology on Monday, saying there was no excuse for his comment, and he apologized in a video posted on his social media accounts. Now, what you don't realize, there are millions of dollars that go into these NASCARs, and a lot of sponsors. Regular sponsors. Here's what he said. "I made a mistake." No, you didn't. Said the word that I should have never said. There is no excuse for that. I wasn't raised that way. You a damn lie. Because it came out too easy. It was just an awful thing to say. I feel sorry for my family, for my friends, my partners, the NASCAR community, and especially the African American community. Okay? I understand the damage is probably unrepairable, and I own up to that. But I just want to let you know how sorry I am, and I hope everything and everyone is staying safe during these crazy times. Now let me just tell you something. That apology doesn't mean crap. You know why he was apologizing? Because his sponsors was dropping him like a hot potato. Let me give you some of his sponsors, by the way. McDonald's, Credit One Bank, Fiserv, okay? So all of his sponsors dropped him like a hot potato, and now he's been fired. This was one of the better racers for NASCAR. Chip Ganassi Racing is one of the premier racing owners in NASCAR. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because that's what should have been done. None of this, I apologize, I'm going to make it up. You cut him like a hot potato.
Market research says NASCAR bread and butter fan base is about 60% male and 80% white.
Yep.
Mostly from the southern and midwestern states.
Exactly.
But as the country continues to become even more diverse, the sport is working to make sure its fan base is too. I don't think so.
And that's why they dropped him.
So my point is,
what's your point, Rob?
Nobody gives up.
They do.
Who other
This
than
is
you?
this is news.
This is that thing where y'all. This how y'all folks are. Y'all don't want to be called a nigga, but it's okay to treat you like one. But I dig it, Dave. Go ahead, please continue. With
Can I
your
continue?
NASCAR story.
Okay,
please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
They called you a nigga, so now you're pissed.
I'm doing this for a reason.
They called you a nigga, so you're
I'm
pissed.
doing this for a reason.
Please,
Can I just do the show, sir?
Please continue.
Sorry. Okay. But anyway, they dropped him like a hot potato, which is what they should have did. But see, here's my point about all of this. Is what Robert just so eloquently read. You know, he just contributed to the show. The story by reading what he did. That's great. Because when you go to a NASCAR race, all you see are Confederate flags. Okay? So NASCAR know they've had a problem for years. Can I say Willie T. Ribs? Have y'all watched the story Uppity yet? I see y'all watching all that other mess. Have you watched Uppity on Netflix? You'll get an idea of how people felt about black people in racing. Okay? That's my point. But here's the other point. Because black people got to start being conscious of these things and not supporting things that don't support them. And I am so proud that what is happening, see what's going on in China right now? They're having a re-emergence of the coronavirus. Did y'all know that? I know if y'all listen to Trump, you didn't know that. So here's what China has, a lot of the Chinese residents have started kicking black people out of houses that they're renting or apartments that they're renting and so on and so forth. And I mentioned earlier in the show that even in a McDonald's that's an American-owned company, they are allowing Chinese to kick black people out of that restaurant. That should be disturbing. That's why I read that story, because who was one of the sponsors for NASCAR and Kyle Lawson? Who was it, Robert? Since you was trying to crap on my little story, who was it? You see how I tied that into that? Will you please try to listen to the show every now and then? I mean, come on, get off the porn site for a moment, okay? What she look like? Anyway,
she's hot.
Okay,
really hot.
Great.
She's so hot. Would you like to see?
No. One of the sponsors for Kyle Lawson is McDonald's. I just told you that an American company is talking out of both sides of its neck, because if McDonald's was really true to its diversity in black people, it would either tell those Chinese to stop kicking black people out of that McDonald's or take that franchise. That's really the bottom line here. But more importantly, black people are retaliating, especially in Africa. I'm looking at a story right now where this African lady has Chinese people standing behind bars. And here is the title of the article. African lady kicking out Chinese residents from their business premises, just like it is happening to Africans in China. Turnabout is fair play. And I'm glad this is happening. We're seeing more and more stories. I've told you all over and over again that Asian people are some of the worst racists in the world. That's why I don't understand why y'all keep taking your money to them. I've already stopped. If I walk in the store and there's an Asian behind the counter, I turn around and leave. Purposely. Now, I know your sisters got to go get your hair from them Asians, but just remember they're laughing at you, and if you lived in their country, they wouldn't even want you there. That's why I've said over and over again, I'm not carrying water for anybody else but black folk. Period.
Okay.
Just not doing it. And I ain't going to your service stations. I ain't going to your little Chinese restaurants. If I want Chinese now, I'll make it at home. And that's the bottom line. 855. Robert, you got comments on that? Because we still got to get to your buddy. Donald. Roberto?
How can I help you, my friend?
Any input, comments?
Actually, Dave, no. Right now, I am perusing the web. I'm checking out some stuff so I can share with the rest of the world here shortly.
Well, we're waiting on you to share something. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, also, if you didn't see the press conference yesterday with your president, I mean, for the first time, the reporters lit him up. It was hilarious. He starts off, you're supposed to be having a press conference. It was over 2 hours, by the way. It's supposed to be a press conference about the coronavirus. And he comes out and he shows a campaign video of what he's done for the coronavirus. It was hilarious. He shows a campaign video. By the way, this campaign video was put together by your tax dollars. I'm just letting y'all know that.
Good to see my tax dollars at work.
And then the Republicans and the media that was in the audience, his draws might as well have been soaked with gasoline because they lit his ass up. It was hilarious. And he went ballistic. He lost it, Robert. I'm serious. You need to go back and look at it. And this one lady from ABC, oh my God. She wasn't, see, because here's the point. If you notice, I have my Constitution out. Robert, looky. Sing, oh, beautiful America, you stand on the backs of black people. Oh, I want to read something to you. This is the 10th Amendment. Yes, girls and boys, this is civics class. Go ahead, hum that in the background. This will be good. Powers retained by the states and the people. See, I told y'all I carry a constitution everywhere I go. So when I heard that fool yesterday, I immediately pulled out my constitution because I would have pimp slapped him with it. Okay. Robert sounds so good. I'm like a daddy with a son that's on. Okay. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. Now, let me just break that down on what that means. Is that the states have, in most cases, power to do what they want. And the president cannot tell states, in most cases, what to do. But yesterday, your president, your nutbag in chief, the pathological liar of the United States, remember early on in this pandemic, he says he's not at fault. He has nothing to do with it. He demanded that the states take care of it, go out and find their own PPEs, their own ventilators. And then he started sending the ventilators to third-party buyers and having states bid on these ventilators. You're doing just wonderful, Robert. Keep going. So now, yesterday, because he's desperate to get the country back running because unemployment is killing him, and he can't run on that. So he was asked the simple question, what criteria do you have to tell the states when they can reopen? And he demanded that he was the sole person that could tell the states when and what to do. And I'm sorry, based on this little thing right here, it's called the U.S. Constitution, that he does not have any power over the states, and it is the states' total control. That's why if he had power over the states, then Arkansas would be shut down.
That who has brought us through far
Okay?
farther.
I'm just letting y'all know that. So at the end of the day, this little book, and by the way, the one of the reporters asked him, well, what proof do you have, can you provide for us? He said, well, we'll get some papers together. I'm serious. Dude, you need to go watch this. It was hilarious.
I cannot get conscious. That's why I'm singing the national anthem, the black national anthem in the background, because, yeah.
It is hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, that for the first time, it's pretty clear that the reporters, they tired of that bull. They tired. It's about time.
Do you think they're tired?
Well, just watching some of the press conferences as of late, yeah, they're tired of it. I mean, they going at him. And he kept telling one reporter, you're done. She kept talking. You know, usually she'll say, and then here's what they started doing, which is great. So one reporter will ask a question, and this came out last night when they were interviewing one of the reporters that was actually in the press room, in the presser. Mm-hmm. He said, see, here's what we do now. That one of them will ask a question,
Right.
and he'll gloss over it, or he'll go at him. So the next reporter would pick up that same question and ask it just a different way. Oh man, I'm telling you, dude, this is great television. It really is. So you might want to watch it again today. I don't know, he might not even have a press conference today.
For Trump?
Yeah, because he got towed up yesterday.
He might have one. I'm sure he's going to have one.
Well, he's an egomaniac, so, and he's basically trying to use these press conferences as his campaign pressers, and it ain't working too good for the dog, man. I'm just saying, it was hilarious to say the least, you know. So
keep us forever in the past.
Okay, Robert, that's enough.
Man, what? Oh, come on, man.
You
Sing the
supposed-
national anthem with me.
No, I ain't gonna.
You ain't gonna sing the black national anthem? Why not?
No, but it's too damn.
You know the white one. You don't know the black one.
Oh, I know the black.
Well, why you ain't singing on me, player?
Because you sound like garbage.
Oh, are you insulting my singing?
No, that was French.
My Negro.
That was French.
All right, cool.
All right, so have you got your stimulus check yet?
Yeah, I got mine last week.
Okay, good.
A whopping 16 cents.
Oh wow, good for you, Robert.
And I'm gonna blow it.
Blow it,
Soon as
man.
everything
Oh man, you
goes
might
up.
need to take 10% and pay that to the church.
I was thinking about that. I
Yeah,
should probably
yeah.
give them,
Yeah,
6/10 of a cent.
Go ahead and send some to Creflo Dollar.
I sent his already.
Or TDJ.
I sent Creflo his.
Okay, so-
I sent, in the I sent him his in the bag after I came out the bathroom.
or Kenneth Copeland.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the guy who blew the coronavirus away.
Yeah, come on, man. We need to stop doing that. These guys are nuts, man. These guys are really nuts.
But anyway, so all of that money, the $2 trillion that they designated for small businesses,
Okay.
guess what's happening?
What's that?
Let me just read this to you. Some hedge funds
Okay.
have already applied for the loan under the Paycheck Protection. Okay? They are attempting to snare some or all of this money, claiming that they are small businesses.
Yeah, so they don't base it on the amount of money you generate.
I
They
know.
base it solely on your employees. So if you have less than 500 employees, you are by there considered a small business. So yeah, they can go after the money.
Well, the question of whether to partake in the program is dividing members of the money management community. Some traders have called it morally corrupt. Well, they're morally corrupt anyway, while others insist they are small businesses, just like hair salons, restaurants, and dry cleaners that could use a helping hand after the global markets tumbled and cost them money. CEO of First New York, Donald Mottschiller, a hedge fund manager that manages, check this out, they only manage $2.9 billion.
That's it?
That's all.
Yeah, not very much.
in assets. Now, I know a lot of small business owners. I don't know any of them that's managing 2.9.
But again, being a small business is not determined by how much revenue you generate. It's based solely on employees. It's not based on how much revenue you generate.
He told Bloomberg that while he hasn't decided whether to apply for federal relief for his firm, none of the 15 hedge funds in his circle he asked about the program said they would oblige to applying for the funds. Other hedge fund managers feel differently. It's a complete abomination, said Neil Kapakar, a partner at the San Francisco-based hedge fund. While we recognize that every manager must make their own decision about the viability of their firm, we have provided guidance to our members that we do not believe the money in this program was intended for managers' general partnership interest.
You ready?
And it wasn't.
So check this out.
Go ahead.
Just to give you a little something.
Little something.
The U.S. Small Business Administration counts companies with as much as 35.5 million in sales and 1,500 employees as small businesses. Depending on the industry, outside government, companies with less than 7 million in sales and fewer than 500 employees are widely considered small businesses. So, your company is a small business because they don't have any sales. Because they're a fund manager, so they don't have any sales.
How do they get paid?
Who?
Those fund managers.
What do you mean? How do they get paid?
How do they get paid?
They get
If
paid.
they don't have any sales, how do they get paid?
No,
that
they don't have any
$2.9 billion that I just talked about, do they get some of that?
They don't. If they make money off the 2.9 billion, yeah, they get some of it. But again, they don't have sales technically, Dave. So technically, they don't have sales because they don't call their sales. So they don't fall into that category.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But I understand your point, and I understand, and that's part of the reason that they should have been your senators and congressmen should have been more adept in
they did exactly the way they wanted
in fashioning that bill so that money will not be stolen, because that's basically what's happening.
Yeah, hopefully they'll let all of us steal some. So here we go, Dave.
Here
One
we
more
go.
for y'all.
Here we go.
For many companies, the standard small business classification by employees is 500 or less, but your industry could make a difference in your size qualifications. Typically, you must have between or below 75,000 and 35 million in sales, and between or below 100 and 1,500 employees. Yeah, so depending on the industry, if you don't technically have sales, then guess what? You are a small business, even though you're managing $2.9 billion. And I bet they have less than 500 employees. I mean, without doubt, they have less than 500. So guess what? They are. Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, don't you just love?
Don't you love America?
Well, thank you for taking the words out of my mouth. Don't you just love America?
We got to start playing by these rules. I mean, this is hilarious. Is an LLC a small business? The simple answer is no. You don't need an LLC to start your own business, although you may decide you want one. An LLC, a limited liability company, provides personal liability protection and a formal business structure. But you can also get those things by forming a corporation or other types of business entity. There you go.
Yep, there you go.
What you need to know right there.
Nothing like living in a kakistocracy.
Yeah, it's always about that. Always about that paper play.
You know what a kakistocracy is?
What cats run rapid. What? What's wrong, Dad? You okay? Are you feeling okay? Dave, you feeling okay today?
We've kind of changed the show a little bit.
Dave, you feeling okay today?
I'm trying. I think I've put together a pretty good show
Dave,
the
you
last
feeling
3
okay?
days,
Dave, you
last
feeling
2
okay?
days, and.
Dave, you feeling okay?
When I'm trying to have legitimate conversation with my co-host, which I respect a lot.
Are you feeling okay today?
He comes out with some of the dumbest stuff that I've ever heard in my life. That's okay. I wub him to death. I just wub me some wobble. Kakistocracy. a system of government that is run by the worst, least qualified, and the most unscrupulous citizens. Now here is the council to reopen America. Mark Meadows, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Steve Mnuchin, Larry Kudlow, Robert Lighthizer, and Wilbur Ross. All of them crooks. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I ain't trying to be mean. I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings.
But
that's some dumb stuff right there.
You are a cold piece.
That's some dumb stuff right there. Okay. Oh. I'm just saying for a friend. That's a friend of mine who might be a friend. Okay? Somebody might need to read the Constitution. It would help. And certainly the president. That's why I have this little thing out. Y'all see this? This is the United States Constitution. You can go to any bookstore and get one of these. It might cost you $3. Notice it's not thick. But it would behoove you. I've told you over and over again, is that how the hell are we going to get anything accomplished if we don't even understand the rules by which we are governed? Okay? It's kind of like you go, okay, all of us have played games. You play spades, right? You play spades. You play Dirty Hearts. You play dominoes. Okay? You play Monopoly. You play Sorry. You play Uno. You bowl. You either played football or watch football. You played basketball or watch football. Any sporting event. It has rules, right? And in order to win, you have to understand the rules. The rules of the game. This little thing right here is the rules of the game. And if you want to win in America, then you better start understanding this here thing right here. Okay? I know you know what your First Amendments are. You think you do, but you really don't. I know some of y'all now know what the 13th Amendment is. That's good. But it would behoove you to read this. Because see, if more of us read this, then our politicians wouldn't be able to poop on us and tell us it's perfume. Because that's what they're doing. And I promise you, it ain't perfume. And when you walk around your buddies, I'm sure they let you know it ain't perfume. I'm just saying for a friend. 855-525-5683 is the number. A lot of sporting events are trying to reopen. In Florida, by the way, WWE has been deemed an essential business. So they will be having WWE wrestling on Monday nights. Is that when they do it?
I don't know. I don't watch wrestling.
So it's an essential business. So they'll be wrestling. Now, we know that the wrestlers can't catch coronavirus and pass it on to one another, with, especially with all that sweat and stuff flying around the ring. We know that can't happen, right?
I hear you.
I'm just saying. Okay. Also, I think, a lot of sporting events are concerned about coming back and when they're going to come back and all this other stuff. I believe that the football season is over. I don't think we're going to have a college season either. And I sure as hell don't think we're going to have a high school season. I just don't. So y'all better prepare yourselves. And so check this out. And you people that are in control of all this stuff better be paying attention. Check this out. A poll released by Seton Hall University last week stated 72% of Americans would not attend a sporting event if a vaccine had not been developed by game time. You hear that? That's a whole lot of people. However, 12% said they would attend the event if social distancing was not maintained at the event. So, let me get this. It's 68,000 people in the stadium. You literally sit, and if you've never been in a pro football arena, you're literally sitting on top of each other. Now, how you gonna get 6 feet out of that? When sports fans were asked, 61% said they would attend games without the vaccine. I'm just asking a question. That doesn't bear much logic for me. I'm sorry. But I think the overall point is this, is that most people are concerned about this virus, and I don't care how bad you say you want to come back, fans are not going to go. They're just not. Who wants to go into the den of hell and expect to come back without the virus? You want to do that? I tell you what you can do. You got a friend you don't like, go buy him some tickets. Because that's what it really boils down to. And considering now that China is having a second wave of the virus, if that's the case, we're probably going to have a second wave. And did we learn anything from the first wave? I'm just saying. Somebody made the point yesterday when you talk about the high rate of COVID-19 deaths in the black community, do not mention diabetes, high blood pressure, and asthma without also mentioning the poverty, the redlining, the gentrification, food deserts, healthcare disparities, educational and systematic institutional racism that led to the underlying conditions. That's pretty deep.
I enjoyed that. I like that. I like that comment, Dave.
Good, Robert. I'm certainly doing it for you.
You're welcome, Dave.
Let's see. The Times says, "Nope, I haven't watched it, but I will watch." I think you're talking about the press conference. It'll be worth your while. Just get the kids and the family. Get you a big old bowl of popcorn. That's what we used to call it back then. Some popcorn, some Orville Redenbacher. You know, that's the gourmet popcorn. Don't get that other mess. Get you some Orville. It pops up every kernel, and then y'all just sit around and watch Trump. God, I just remember something. I forgot to bring you some rib dust.
Yeah, man. How you gonna do me like that? By the way, the other stuff pretty good, bro. Gotta give you your props. That was pretty good.
What you using on?
I used it on a steak, man. I had to make.
So you went ahead and did the steak.
I had to do the steak, man.
Okay, I'll bring you some rib dust tomorrow. It slipped my mind. I'm sorry. So tell me how you prepared it.
How did I prepare it?
The steak.
I took the stuff, rubbed it on it, and that was it.
Oh, you're talking about the Netflix movie, Uppity. Yeah, you definitely need to watch that, Tony. It's a good movie. All right. You know, some of y'all watching the Clark sisters. Yeah, right. Yeah. Sleeper. You know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Have you watched the Clark sisters yet?
I have not. What is that on?
I don't know. Don't care.
Oh, okay.
It's just no, it's on Lifetime. I know why. I remember now. Lifetime had its biggest listener, what do they call it?
Biggest
viewership since its history this past weekend, because so many of y'all black folks was watching the Clark sisters. Now that's okay. That's fine. The Clark sisters wasn't something I would watch. Okay? Because first of all, I know they're human. But here's the point. When you look at those numbers, that says black folk does watch television. And once again, you can use those numbers for your benefit. But we're not smart enough to do that yet. By the way, Lifetime is a white channel. Now, it was written by a black woman.
What was written by a black woman? Lifetime?
The Clark sisters.
What is the Clark Sisters about?
The Clark Sisters it's been 4 of them, and they've been gospel. They're like, what do they call them? They're gospel hierarchy. They used to sing gospel, and their mom was a taskmaster, from what I understand, and they've been on the gospel scene for decades. So they did a story about the Clark Sisters, and people loved it. And part of the reason so many watched it. And here's the other thing about it: that viewership, I would argue that was 95% black.
For the Clark Sisters?
For that viewership. Because not many white people know the Clark Sisters. So that gives you an idea. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because that gives you an idea of our economic power. Because you know what's going to happen now? Lifetime is going to start trying to get more movies for black folk.
You think so?
Oh yeah, because that translates into sales for Lifetime. That turns into big money for Lifetime, because now they can say, hey, and here's the other thing, they can come back and rebroadcast it. Let's say if they come back and rebroadcast it this Sunday, they can now go back and say, hey, look, did you see them numbers? Sorry, but we're going to add 10% to your advertising budget. The spots that you want to run. So the point I'm making is making money off of your viewership. I don't watch Lifetime. From what I understand, each time I've attempted to watch it, it's like a woman's channel. They have all them what they call it, them soft movies on there. But if you watch it, that's fine. But understand, as you watch it, you're making money for them. And that's where you can start making demands on them. Or our leaders should. But right now, y'all not smart enough to do that, because y'all were, girl, did you see the Clark Sisters? Girl, it was on the clock or something else. Whoa, whoa. All righty. Y'all go for it.
Yep.
Are you through with your research?
Oh, yeah.
And, can you do me a favor and do your research when we're not doing a show?
Why are you insulting my research, Dave? I'm a very researchful person over here.
Obviously.
I'm just trying to get it in, bro.
Well, obviously.
Trying to get it in.
So New York Magazine, got a couple of minutes to go in the show. The Intelligencer. Pence, in the craziest lie yet, denied Trump ever downplayed the coronavirus.
Why do you find this amusing, newsworthy? I mean, I'm confused, Dave. This is painful. Why do you find this newsworthy? I'd rather talk about the 11th homicide in our city where they found.
You ain't talking about it, hell, because hey, we've had plenty of time.
Dave.
But now
you're talking about Pence, Mike Pence, the very same man who said we don't have an AIDS epidemic in Indianapolis. No, we don't. No, my God, we don't.
But he's sending out his thoughts and prayers to you.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
He is. I'm Mike Pence, and I'm sending out my thoughts and prayers to you. Hi, I'm Mike Pence. Oh, Mike, bring him. But he claims. Now, you do remember Donald Trump saying that, hey, it's a Democratic hoax, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that?
I remember everybody on Fox going, "This is a Democratic hoax. It's
Yeah.
not real." But that tune soon changed.
Well, here's Mike Pence. I don't believe the president ever belittled the threat of the coronavirus.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you something. The only people I know who can say something, and everybody goes, "Yep, that's right," is the Republican Party and people who will follow Republicans.
And preachers.
Well, I don't give it to them, but the Republican Party.
That's right, preacher.
Best believe.
But it's just ignorance, man. It's amazing how this continues to happen in this country. This ignorance that we're dealing with. It's the whole point is that, hey, You got to get rid of them. And when you get some new ones in there, if they don't do right, you got to get rid of them too.
That's crazy, man.
I'm just saying. Hey, so we got to get out here. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I hope you did.
We started plugging in some of the new things that we're going to be doing on the show.
Yeah,
and tonight, let these folks watch the Clark Sisters movie and be quiet. That's right, Robert. Folks are trying to stay home and be entertained. You need to read a damn book.
Ooh,
Tanya.
People's is hot. Okay, here we go.
Are they mad about the Clark?
It's hot.
What they say?
It's hot.
Did they say something about the Clark? What I said about the Clark Sisters?
Yeah, they said just let them watch the Clark Sisters, man. Quit hating.
I don't care.
They said you're a hater, Dave. They said, Dave, you got on your hater outfit today. All right.
I didn't take my medication. Woo, that stuff had me going yesterday, boy.
Yeah, you was a little funky.
Ooh, boy, y'all don't know. I was.
You was like, you was buzzed. You were buzzed. So my quote today, man, this is.
Ooh, look at you! Look at you! Oh, I'm so proud of Robert. He done grown up.
It is rumored this is what Thomas Jefferson told Sally Hemings after the first time they got it on.
Bend over.
Nothing gives one person so much advantage over another as to remain always cool and unruffled under all circumstances. That's your boy, Thomas Jefferson.
Wow, that's mighty wide, Thomas.
That is.
I've actually got two quotes. Can I give like two quotes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here I'm gonna give my favorite one last. Here's my first one. Only when the last tree has died and the last river has been poisoned and the last fish has been caught, we will realize we can't eat money. That's a Cree Indian proverb.
Explains everything. Okay.
Okay.
What's the second?
Here's my favorite. There is an awakening going on in the earth. If you're not awakened, you weren't chosen. Booyah!
Hey, man, I just got one thing to say after that. I love you, black people. Spend money in your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace. You got issues, man. You got some serious issues.
You've been listening to Black Focus.
Man, that's a false quote right there, dog. It doesn't say. It just came across my wall. I meant to use it yesterday. But man, that is, ooh. Hey y'all, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I am gonna, at least until Donald